safe to say, when you talk Canada, Mexico, men's national teams, never before would you be like, now this is potentially the fire matchup. This is on a knife's edge of who the winner is. How do you see them lining up today?
Well, we got to talk about the vibes going on in both of these camps. Yeah. Right now, Canada, it's like this. It's like my portfolio, my stock portfolio, right? Some days, it's like Canada is doing this, Mexico, they're trying to do this again. No, it's two teams that have the vibes heading in different directions. And for Canada, what they did at Copa America, it caught my attention. I don't know, did it catch your attention?
I mean, anybody that was alive, it caught their attention.
Yeah, there's a sense of pride about this Canadian side in ways that I haven't seen since 2000 when they won the Gold Cup. And watching an interview with Jesse Marsch, he's been drumming that into this side's head of, we're not just here to be participants, we're not here to be spoilers, we're here to get another trophy. And that can be contagious. And when we look at the lineup for this Canadian side and these two sides, I mean, there are some ballers for Canada. You start up top. Kyle Larin playing in La Liga. He's going to partner. He has a good understanding with Jonathan David. Jonathan David right now, and Jalil, I know you're going to break him down in a bit, but Jonathan David is one of the best strikers in European football that is now starting to get talked about. He should be talked about a lot more. He's pipped for big moves after his contract ends at Lille. Mr. Champions League this season. I think he scored 9 goals, if I'm not mistaken. Jacob Schaffelberg, though, at the international level, he is speed, and speed absolutely kills. Had a breakout Copa America. REVAMPED, he plays in those half spaces. But in the midfield, that is where they have a big gulf in class. Steven Eustáquio plays for FC Porto. He's serviceable, but Mathieu Chouanier, playing in Switzerland now, that is a player that he has to be at least minimum solid, clean up, be good on the ball, and get your tackles in. That back line, though, that is a strength, and that's a big edge for them. And Dane Sinclair listed to start. It's going to be interesting to see who Jesse Marsch gives the start to in goal. But on the flip side, though, Mexico, I mean, they got some players as well, some experience through the spine of this team. Raul Jiménez, he is doing his thing in the Premier League. Scored against U.S. men's national team as well. Cesar Huerta, I'm keeping an eye on him. And Alvarez, a mainstay in there. Reyes and Vasquez as well. And Malagón, the new brick wall for L3. So a lot of good matchups to keep an eye on, but it's about execution at the end of the day.
How does Mexico execute?
The way that Mexico executes is that they're very good at defending on the counter. Because if you aren't, this team that plays with high octane coming out of Canada, man, Schaffelberg, Ali Ahmed tucking in with the overlaps as well from the right-hand side. But don't forget, when you have Davies bombing forward on that left-hand side, it's absolute trouble for you. So Mexico needs to be very resolute in their defending. They haven't been too bad, though, when it comes to defending. But if they are not in their block, though, that's where they typically struggle. If Jesse Marsch can stretch the game out, that definitely plays into Canada's hands.
I think that Canada also will know that mainstay center back Cesar Montes is out. Yep. And so that'll be a glaring spot and perhaps an Achilles heel, depending upon who Aguirre decides to put in that slot.
Yeah. Lahoud, the only thing that I'm going to push back on in terms of what you said in terms of previewing Canada is the fact that they actually have revamped their entire organization starting the 2022 World Cup qualifying. They were the best team in CONCACAF then. That was when we started to really look at Canada in a much different light, approaching the 2022 World Cup. So from that time on, we've started to really talk about them differently. The emergence of Davies, the emergence of Kyle Larin being more of that number 9 that can play with Jonathan David. Jonathan David's been balling from time. Mm-hmm. But you also have players like Alistair Johnson, who has really come into his own playing European football as well. And then when you now sprinkle in your Moist Bambitos, you have a really very solid foundation that has been playing very high-level football for the last 4 or 5 years.
You guys been watching March Madness at all? It just started, so maybe no. Yeah, I'm the crazy one that stays up.
Yeah, come on.
But they remind me of a team that the World Cup you mentioned, that's all about happy to be there. They remind me of a team. I was watching the game the other night. I think it was at St. Mary's and American University last night. They remind me of both of those two teams. Happy to be at the dance. We made the World Cup. Let's go. We beat the U.S. men's national team. Now there's a belief that we're not happy, we're not content just being a part of it. listening to a lot of those players when they were at the World Cup, there was a sense of almost cavaliersness, naivety of, oh my gosh, and it's the World Cup. How could you not be excited? How could you not be just happy to be there? Now they have a manager that's different from John Herdman that demands a lot more to them. That same manager, Jesse Marsch, what he did at Copa America, he said, we can play with Argentina. We're not just competing for CONCACAF. We can play against the best teams. We want to be that standard. We want to be the gold standard, not the U.S. men's national team. And there's a new sense of pride, renewed sense of pride with the Canadian men's national team that he wants to elevate the status of what they're doing. Despite
that this is the post-Memo Ochoa era for Mexico, this is a side that has kept a clean sheet in 5 of their last 7 games. So what is going to be the best way for Jesse Marsch to attack this? Because this is a manager that you always feel like has something up his sleeve.
I think contrary to what we were just talking about in terms of getting out on the flank.
Yeah, let's contradict ourselves
running,
a little bit. That's what we
set pieces are going to be big for them as well.
Yeah, yes.
When you get out on the break and that's what you like to do, that pushes a defense back and you typically get more corners in that way. Right? So when that is the case, or if that's the case in this matchup, the likes of Moise Bambito coming in off of good service from whoever it is on the corner kick, whether it's Davies, whether it's Alistair Johnson, it doesn't really matter. But now you're able to bring your trees forward and then get into your training ground bag as well. So I would like to think that set pieces will also play a big factor in this one for Jesse Marsch.
Yeah, I'm looking at the back line, and you got to stop the hot hand for Mexico, right? Raul Jimenez, you stop him, maybe they bring in Santi Gimenez, but Mexico right now in that number 9 position, those 2 players, they bring something different. They bring an edge, they bring an intelligence in the box. But I want to put the game in other players' hands who are not used to scoring goals, right? Cesar Huerta is a talent, and he's doing well. We cover him, this past season, we covered him with the Europa League. The job he's doing with Anderlecht, he's taken his game to another level. But make him be the guy who is pushing the envelope on the game. Make players, and when I played at the international level, I had a manager that always said this: make a guy make the game that's not used to making the game. Don't let Raul Jimenez, don't let the likes of Alvarez be the dictators of this match. Put it in Lira.
Why is that? To catch the opposition by surprise, or what were you told and taught by your manager that?
Well, that way, in those situations, you're putting the ball at the feet of someone who's probably most likely going to try and do too much. And that way you can force pressing traps. And for Canada, their best set pieces, I think their best strength is on the counter. Jacob Schaffelberg and Alphonso Davies, if Lira gets caught with his back to goal and you double team him in midfield, win that ball, then Schaffelberg's going, Davies is going, and then you're playing for a cutback or a cross. Now, if it's Alvarez that has the ball and he has time and space and he's dictating the game, one long ball over the top, which he has that in his locker, he can play between the lines. Then Raul Jimenez or Santi Gimenez, they can make the game.
To that point, Mexico's going to need to be very good in the midfield because Jesse Marsch wants to step up the line, bring that little low-key Red Bull style to it. So if you're not clean on the ball, boom, it can be off to the counter and off to the races for you.
How big of a chance is this for Jonathan David?
Huge.